Hello and welcome everyone, it's Vinrock39. Today I'm going to revamp that video I shot for the Tour of the Galaxy because I left out a few critical things that you're going to probably need to help you complete it. As you see here, I'm in my Captain Skills, and in the Space section there's a skill that you can choose from either the Transwarp cooldown reduction or the sector space travel speed. Obviously I chose the sector space travel speed because it increases your sector space travel speed by 25%. That may or may not be a factor, but I know it's very helpful, especially when you're doing this with a true free-to-play setup. I didn't buy a membership. I don't own any other download content other than what either I've earned through the game or it was something that was a PlayStation Plus special or something. You know, they give us stuff for free every once in a while. But all that aside, I play for free and I don't spend any money on this game out of my own pocket. Okay, everything comes from in-game, and that's another story, but you can make money for the game in the game. I know it's crazy, but you might already know this, so I'm not going to go into that. Right now it's about the Tour of the Galaxy. Sector space travel speed, it kind of comes early, so you should be able to get this really soon if you're starting out. Now the other thing you're going to need is in the reputation. It's in the Gamma Task Force, and you would go to an empty project and scroll down here to where it says Gamma Task Force Starship Primary Set, and you're really looking for this Gamma Synergistic Overcharged Warp Core. The maximum warp factor is 22.94 if you're looking at it when you're not in your ship in space, but in space it's affected by that 25% increase, so it goes to a 24.81, at least as it stands right now. This warp core will help you immensely because it's the fastest warp core that I've seen in game, at least for a free-to-play player. Now it does give you a 60% increase in slipstream speed. That's great. And 100% slipstream turn rate. So it's going to help you turn a little faster. And it also recharges 100% faster. So you'll be able to use it a bit more frequently. The amount of sector space slipstream boost that I'm going to use is about 6 to 12, give or take. I'm not going to say exactly because I didn't count, but I guess we'll know at the end of this video. But that piece of equipment is important. It will be pricey. For me, it would only cost 16,250 dilithium, 20,000 energy credits, 5 germanium carapace fragments, and 375 gamma marks. But that's because I've introduced the discount, because I did unlock almost all of my reputations, but this one you can when you get down to it, I can go to another one that I've completed that I didn't buy that. You get this account-wide gear discount, but it costs quite a bit to get. You know, 20,000 dilithium, 5 of these, and in each one they have this. So it's maybe different items here, well here and the marks, but for the most part every one of these reputations allows you to do that. But the Gamma Task Force is the one with the fastest warp core. Now you can also use an item that you can acquire through the game playing, and it's called the Polaric Modulator, I believe. Yes, this thing will help you with your turn rate in slipstream, so that kind of helps as well. So that's all I have, two pieces of equipment that made this possible: the warp core and this module. Now as you see, I'm using the weakest ship I have. I believe this is the first ship they gave me, the light cruiser, and it's going to get this done. The stats on it aren't so bad, but really all I'm looking for is the flight speed, really. And you see it'll be a lot faster when we're going, but for the most part, it's a good way to get you almost 1 million a day, because the Tour of the Galaxy can be repeated once every day. So you'll find yourself with a lot of energy credits in a short amount of time if you dedicate yourself to do this every day. Even if you don't complete it, you'll still get a lot more EC than if you don't do it. I usually start here in the Sonic sector, Sonic sector, and I go to the Sonic system, and I just work my way around the map. It's going to be pretty quick. You have to slow down every once in a while to help the ship turn, but you don't have to touch the controls at all, really. It's just speeding up and slowing down and using your slipstream. And I will not use a Transwarp at all during this run, so those of you who don't have those Transwarp modules or the ability to Transwarp to, let's say, Deep Space Nine or whatever, you'll still be able to get this done inside the time limit and get as many energy credits as you can out of this. So let me quit talking and just get to it right away. You need to hail JM from the missions journal, and you go to incoming hails, and he's near the bottom. He's one of the, I think, the third or second from the bottom. There it is. So you simply hail him, accept this mission, and I just go about it. Now that was ugly, but now I'll get to this one, and I'm not going to use the slipstream just yet. I use it once I get to Kronos. But let's see how this goes, because I've never really tried it with the weakest ship I have, but I have tried it with a ship that was one step above this. I think it was the second ship, and it worked fine. I actually did it faster than I did with my Defiant. Now I'm wiggling the controller because I don't want the ship to get stuck or stop. Now slowing down to make that turn is important in these runs, because the ship will swing wide if you don't, especially at the speed we're carrying. And sometimes it pays to hit it before you get there, like this. Now you notice I slowed down to get that turn. It shouldn't be too much of a factor. I'm only going to use the slipstream in this quadrant maybe 5 to 6 times, and in the next one maybe 3 to 4 times, I'm guessing. But it's all pretty simple. Just make sure you're helping the ship turn by slowing it down, and once it gets in the general direction of where you're going, you can give it full speed again. Now I'll just wiggle my stick a little to get that ship to stay in motion, because if it runs into the star, it'll stop if you don't do that. Ultimately, it's all relative if you're doing it without any transwarps to the internet speed you have. Going from beta quadrant to the alpha quadrant takes a load up time, and if your internet is quite slow, it may not load up as fast as you need it to get to the alpha quadrant without costing you the completion. It really does matter. So if your internet is slow, this might not work for you. I use my phone for my internet. That's what I love about the PS4. It's not such a source hog that you can't use a phone with a slow internet. And it slows me down. In this particular case, I have the ability to use a slightly quicker internet here. But when my phone isn't out of its data limit, it actually works just as well. So you notice I didn't slow down for either of those two star systems, nor this one. It's not necessary on that particular set of star systems. So now this one, give it a little wiggle, and I'm, like you said, I'm just looking for it to get close. Once it gets there, you know, you can engage the next one. Yeah, so if you're doing this without any transwarps, you might come up short a star system or two, depending on how long it takes to load up between the beta and the alpha quadrant. But it does work, even with this little budget build, like I like to call it. And you don't need the most expensive ship. You don't need, you know, there's an Omega impulse engine that you can get through the reputation from the Borg. I believe it's when you play the Borg missions, but they're all basically, you know, in your reputation. So you can find a impulse engine that'll increase the duration of your slipstream because it actually increases the cooldown. So, or rather, it decreases the cooldown. So you can actually get twice as many slipstreams in as I am right now. But because it's pricey, and you know, using dilithium is kind of hard for me because I don't generate a lot of it, and I'm using it for my fleets, and well, not my fleets, for the fleet I'm in, and I'm trying to help, you know, grow the fleet. But even on a limited amount of dilithium and stuff like that, all you really need to get is that gamma synergistic overcharged warp core, and that polaric module will help you. Now, I don't use Transwarp here. I'll wait till I get to the next one. Or Transwarp slipstream drive. I want to get here before I engage it, because I'm going to try and hit these two in one run. Slowing down is all I'm doing, really. You can turn the ship yourself if you'd like, but I find that it makes it easier for me to slow down than it is to try to turn it, because some of these star systems are higher and lower than the others, and you can run under it or over it. Man, I would have loved to have done that right now, but I'm busy. So once I get here, I'm going to get the ship to start turning. And then once that angle starts lining up, then I can hit my transwarp, or slipstream. I keep calling it transwarp, I don't know why. It's stuck in my head. Now this one I will look at, because if I turn it sooner, I should be able to get there. Okay, I have to slow it down anyway. Yeah, I would have overshot Drozana Station. But needless to say, it's no big deal. This should work out fine. And this next turn you won't need to slow down for. And the object is to just get through this without using any transwarps. As cheap as possible is kind of what I'm trying to do. For the players that don't have all the bells and whistles, like me, I don't have everything. This is one of those games that I picked up in late last year, and I was kind of blown away with the fact that you don't have to pay for anything to play this game and have a good time, or be useful, is the way I like to put it, because you are playing somewhat a cooperative fashion, because if you're smart, you join a fleet, even if it's not a well-developed one. Like, I got into a really small fleet. Well, I don't know if I think it's around 200 players in the fleet, but I've seen fleets with a lot larger complement of players and more experienced times. Players are have been doing this for a long time, and I just started late last year, so it's easy for those of you who have everything to just go as fast as possible. I won't be breaking any records as far as how fast I can get it done, but you can get it done without all that extra stuff. You know, there's a console that you can get. There's a couple consoles actually, and an engine, an impulse engine, a warp core. Those things will help speed this along and make you do it a lot quicker than most cases, but it's not totally necessary to get it done. And that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong or show anybody up. I'm just showing those of us who don't have everything in this game that we can still accomplish this task. Now, this is that point I was talking about. Depending on how long that takes to load up really determines whether or not you can successfully do this if you're not using Transwarps, which, as you saw, I didn't even bother. And once that ship starts going straight, hit the slipstream and rock it out. And I've actually seen other players do different runs, and to me, this is the best one for me. This is the route I like taking, and it works. And slowing down, that's all I'm doing, is slowing the ship down enough to get that turn going, and I'll give them full speed. I'm not turning the controller in most cases. Earlier I did, but that's because I didn't have things lined up to begin with. But yeah, remember that sector space boost that you're going to get from your build. Gotta line up Deep Space Nine. And yeah, that warp core and the polaric modulator and the engineering console. And that's it. That's it. 2 pieces of equipment, and just about any ship you have should suffice. Now it's off to here. Come on, turn. Oh, I hate that. Ship doesn't like to turn sometimes when it hits Deep Space Nine. But no biggie, I should make this anyway. Now, when you get to this one up here, your science officer is going to tell you can't go into deep space. But that's not a problem. Just be prepared to turn or slow down for the turn, because we are going to head up here afterwards. So as soon as I see him get close to that little star, I go ahead and hit this. Tell her no, slow your ship down, and then get it going again. And I'm going to slipstream my way through these next 3. And we're almost done. I mean, 2.5 minutes, it's going to be close, but we'll see. Now with this particular one, you want to get that turn going a little early. So as soon as the point gets into that gold circle, I'll hit it. And you'll make that turn without having to slow down. And that's kind of important because we're running out of time here, so. And up to Ferenginar. Slow it down. And we should be good. We'll see how this works. But everyone can do this. It's not a big deal. I'm not special. I do have that 25% sector speed travel, you know, from the build, of course, in Captain Skills. This is not a fancy ship. This is the first one I got. I believe it's a light cruiser. And it looks like I might make this with enough time to spare. We'll see. Oh yeah, I'll make this one. If I don't mess up. There it is. I almost messed up and turned too soon. That's the hard part, is actually turning too soon. And we'll get our last slipstream in, and I'll get to that Breen system in about 10 seconds, I'm guessing. So even with the weakest ship I have, which I believe is the very first one they gave us, you can complete the tour of the galaxy without any transwarp, without any special ship. 2 pieces of equipment. There it is. I hope that was useful to you, and as always, take care, be well, and good games, everyone.